A stunning black girl was singing in a church, wearing white garments made of raw cotton. Parker was aware somehow that it wasn't the present day, but rather a time when the colour of one's skin would either seal one of two fates, slavery or freedom. The girl sang the gospel, and all of the slaves around her sang along in call and response fashion, smiling, clapping their wounded hands, following the rhythm. Even the slave owners felt the joy in the music, everyone but the foreign one, the man so tall that he made the others look like children, wearing a devilish smile that would strike fear into the heart of any true servant of the Lord. Suddenly the girls stopped singing, but for some reason the song didn't stop. Fear, despair, panic, all of these emotions blended into the faces of those who, for a brief moment, could avoid the killing blow of the foreigner, only to be pierced or torn apart by his bear-like claws. The girl who was singing stopped and stared. She stood there, too frightened to run, to cry, too frightened even to pray to the Lord, as her clothes and her face became soaked and stained with blood. The foreigner turned his face to the girl, wolf-like fangs, bright yellow eyes. "Come, my dear, feast with me." This time, when Parker opened his eyes, the nightmare did not end. The two Lucys were standing by his bedside, bright yellow eyes, wolf-like fangs. This has got to be a bad dream. One of Lucy's swung at him, and all was darkness again. Uncle Max was there, the foreigner, clad in robes and a hood, sitting on the throne made of aged bones. The whole room was adorned with macabre pieces of art, mummified corpse stitched together with animal parts, horned men like devils, little winged children like cherubs, demonic symbols painted in blood all over the walls, human skin sewn into curtains, and skulls fashioned into pots. Tied to a statue of Belial was an unconscious Parker. "This man is our offering to you, my lord," said Lucille. "Unlike Winthrop, the last one, you'll be able to feast upon Parker to the last scrap of flesh and the last drop of blood," said Camilla. "It pleases me, my servant, how dedicated you are," came the reply from Max. He spoke with a strong German accent, his hideous frame hiding under the decayed fabrics. "Come, father, take your offering," smiled Lucille. Max then took his robes off, and Miller and Lucille could finally see the true form of their maker, a living nightmare, its skin shaggy and dark grey, its eyes a dark, glossy red, the face a grotesque portrait adorned by fangs and other beastly features, trying unsuccessfully to blend into a human face. From its back, a pair of gigantic wings, dark as the devil's own. It walked clumsily, as its body seemed too huge for its clawed feet to carry. Still the Max thing kept on, salivating, the lust for blood making its eyes brighter. As it stretched its arm wing, touching Parker's neck with its black claws, Lucille smiled and began to sing her songs. But rather than singing to the Lord, she sang a sinister, twisted version to her father, Max, the foreigner. As Max felt Parker's jugular vein under the tip of his claw, the blood began to pour, not from his prey's throat, but from his own instead. Max's reaction came immediately. His blow struck Lucille and sent her flying towards the throne of bones, shattering it. He didn't have time to recover before Miller swung at him with equal savagery, ripping his skin with her claws and dodging Max's next two blows. From the slash in his throat, rich dark blood was spouting, weakening him more every second. Miller bent over Max, burying her fangs in his neck. Lucille, now fully recovered, leapt all the way from where she had been thrown and landed in front of Max, plunging her claws into his stomach, causing a loss of blood nearly as severe as that from his neck. The Max beast panicked, and as a last resort to gain the upper hand, or at least save itself, flapped its demonic wings and flew upwards, moving from the lower level's ceiling to the higher level's floor. Now, several feet above street level, it managed to throw Lucille once again, this time from a height that even a vampire would not be able to sustain. Her body landed with a terrible cracking noise on the rooftop. It was about to do the same to Miller, but for a split second its red eyes were struck by the light of the dawn. Max was blind. Miller seized the opportunity and delivered a killing blow to Max's torso, tearing through his spinal cord, rendering him paralyzed. As Max's wings stopped abruptly, he and Miller plunged through the roof, breaking through concrete and brick all the way back into the house. They landed with a crash, and Miller lifted her head to survey the scene. Max's body was twisted and broken, drained of blood. He lay still and cold, though still not dead. Miller gathered her remaining strength and went to Vincent. She dragged the semi-conscious Vincent through the corridor, leaving a trail of blood. The place itself was like a huge wound. He was badly hurt. His frail body couldn't withstand the fury of the creature she had become. Fangs and claws slashed Vincent's skin as if it was made of paper, and it went deeper, ripping muscle and severing arteries. Now he was bleeding out. Camilla had also sustained several injuries, more than enough to kill a lesser creature, but she was slowly healing. Apart from now having the strength of a child, there was no further drawback. Still, the sapping of her abnormal strength was making the task of taking Vincent to the basement too slow-paced, and it wouldn't have surprised her if he died before she could get him there. Camilla. The voice was feminine and sweet. Still, Camilla turned her face towards its source with menacing eyes. "Calm down, it's me." There was Lucille, covered in blood and bruises. Camilla was surprised. How could she be standing after the vicious brawl? "We've got to get him to the basement, to the Red Room. Otherwise," Camilla felt a rising fear. It wasn't surprising that Vincent was dying, but something in Lucille's voice brought the fear to the forefront of Camilla's mind. They proceeded to carry Vincent, now practically a corpse, down the hallway and then to the strange-looking elevator. Lucille brought down the ornate lever and the elevator began its descent. "Camilla, I'll get you some help," muttered Vincent, coughing up blood and grabbing Camilla's hand. "He's not going to make it." "We're almost there," said Lucille. The following moment, the elevator stopped. "I'll carry him," Lucille said, taking Vincent in her arms. "Bring one of the torches." The two women walked through a dark corridor, built of raw stone, the torch being the sole source of light. Camilla kept it as far as possible from her eyes, even though due to the blood loss, she couldn't see as clearly in the dark as she normally could. Her eyes were still those of a creature of the night. After a short walk, there was a red, antique-looking door with demonic creatures carved on it. Lucille then laid Vincent down in order to help Camilla to push on what looked like a gateway to hell. Only then did Camilla notice that a huge portion of Lucille's arm had been ripped away, exposing the bone. "Lucille, are you—" She didn't have time to finish her sentence, as Lucille urged her to keep pushing on the door. "There's no time. Let's get done with it." With a groaning sound, it finally opened, and at the very end of the room, a coffin-like chamber sat at the feet of a four-winged demon statue. Lucille took Vincent in her arms again, and after Camilla said her prayers to the demon, she carefully pulled the lever that would open the chamber. As it slowly began to open, the smell of blood became stronger. They needed it, both the women, but they could not have. "Did you bring the dagger?" asked Camilla. "Not necessary," came the reply, a moment before Lucille opened her mouth wide, exposing her long canine teeth. The almost lifeless body of Vincent convulsed as Lucille's fangs ripped his throat open, and in the following moment, He was thrown into the chamber and sank into the blood. 3 days passed, and from within the chamber, cries could be heard, loud, desperate cries like the ones from a mortally wounded animal. There was no more blood within the chamber. Vincent's body had absorbed it all, and for that he was rendered blind. His fingernails were falling from his fingers, and his gums became unable to hold his teeth. "Help me! Somebody help me!" Vincent would cry out loud, to the point of his lungs nearly exploding. But none of his pleas would be heard, and after 3 more days, he would be unable to hear them as well. Vincent was now blind and deaf. 3 more days passed, and Parker's eyes finally opened. A pair of bright, yellow eyes.